Okay, good evening, everybody. Good evening, and welcome to day 6, the 30-day challenge. And we're going to get started right away. Of course, if you have any questions, feel free to write them there in the box. And we're going to get into some a little different kind of territory today, but it is necessary for us to continue on this path of working toward getting the 1,000 true fans that we have been talking about in this series. So let's dive in quickly and get right to it. So what we have been talking about is building a foundation in our online business to reach 1,000 fans or buyers that'll pay us a minimum of $100 per year. And actually, if you read the article by Kevin Kelly, he considers that to be a day's 1 day's wage for a lot of people. So it's not an arbitrary number. So we're really trying to get people to spend what would be to them one whole day of their wage, and we can talk about some of that as we get into tonight's call. Again, the article is written by Kevin Kelly. It's at kk.org. I urge you to read it. And there are actually 2 other articles connected to it. So if you go to Google and you Google 1,000 True Fans, Kevin Kelly, really dive into that article. Make sure you read the other 2 that are connected to it. I think you'll get some real insight, not only on what we're talking about here in the challenge, but also in some things that you're going to be applying in your business, because we are doing creative work. We are doing knowledge work. Everything we create is going to be coming out of our head. Right. So that's basically where this whole series is going. We're actually generating profit from not necessarily. Now, you could say, things are going this way with 3D printing, right? You can take something in your head and actually turn it into something physical. But basically, what we're talking about in information businesses, we're really generating value based on something we create from our head. And so this also moves in lockstep with the 80-20 rule. So you're not necessarily looking for a gazillion customers. You're looking for a quantifiable number, 1,000. And we'll get into some variations of that. But we're looking for those 20% of our customers that are willing to spend a day's wages, because if they are, then that brings us to that baseline level of $108,000, where we can then kind of use that as our branch. How many of you all have ever heard of Cash Flow by Robert Kiyosaki? And there's this concept in the game where what you're trying to do is you're trying to get out of something that he calls the rat race. And the rat race is basically where your passive income covers your daily expenses. And that means once that happens and your business is covering that, then you can actually leave the constraints of whatever your time is going toward. And then you can then start to invest your time in things that'll actually pay you back. Right. We're going to be using and leveraging resale rights and private label rights content to help us to do this. And we're going to put assets in place to do what I call go beyond list building. And that means then we're going to be looking for not just a big list, but we're looking for those people who are willing to spend money with us regardless of what it is. Now, when the challenge is over, we will have the right infrastructure together in our online business. And you should have already designed your signature opt-in piece, solving a major problem in the niche. And tonight we'll get clear on what your potential customers might want. Actually, we did that last time. What we're going to do tonight is get into some of the numbers. And I think this will be a little different, but you will understand how the 1,000 True Fans really does work out into something realistic. So once you quantify numbers, you can start to plan and quantify costs. That's really where this is coming from. So we can start to determine what we're going to spend. We can start to determine how we're going to spend it once we really determine the actual numbers that we're trying to get to. The person who's buying from you, as we talked about, what they're really doing is they're spending about 1 day's wages. And that's what Kevin Kelly gets the numbers from, $100. Now, that would be for one person, right? So when we think about this 1,000 True Fans, that'll be for one person. And so if you have a team of people and you're actually working that team to get 1,000 true fans. And what you're really start talking about doing is, if you grow your group by 50%, you grow your team by 50%, then you're going to need to grow the number of fans by 50%. So for example, if you double that, you're probably going to be talking about growing, you're probably talking about changing your goal from 1,000 true fans to um, 2,000 true fans, right? And if you grow it by half, right, then you're going to be talking about 2,500. So again, you grow your group by 50%. You want to grow that number by 50%. Again, we're just in preliminary stages of determining some numbers right now to make sense of this concept. One of the things that you want to think about here, and I don't know if you've ever been involved in a business opportunity or a multi-level marketing company, they do extremely well at this. And people who are successful in multi-level marketing, and the reason they do this is because they still believe in getting in touch with people face to face, because the whole concept is based on direct contact. And in this world where we have a lot of contact with people that's kind of detached, people are now starting to come back, and they're really looking to start trying to meet real people. They want to know the name of the person they're buying from. They want to know about them. And so the more that you can be direct with the customer, the more that you can be there with them, the better this whole strategy is going to work. Again, we're not talking about trying to have a million customers. So if we're really trying to have 1,000 true fans, it makes sense, right? If they're going to spend a day's wages with us every year, that we could get to know them, right? That we could actually know them. We could almost know them by name if that is the case. And as you might imagine, if I know you by name, that's going to make a difference over and above somebody else who kind of treats you as a number. Now, I'm not saying that, you're not going to send email. I'm not saying that you're going to make yourself available 24 hours a day. What I am saying is that this whole thing is really based on as much direct contact as you can get. And one of the things that you want to remember is the old saying that pigs get fat and hogs get slaughtered. What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is that it all really depends on how, if you treat the whole concept, right, the whole concept of list building, the whole concept of product launches, the whole concept of creating products for the sake of just growing the list to make more money. I'm not saying that you're going to do poorly. I'm saying that you will always be chasing that launch, right? Because the goal that we talked about here in the first session is we don't want to be launching when we're 70, right? And if we've got to live on the launch, if our standard of living is based on the launch, then we're always going to have to launch products in order to generate the level of income we want. When really what we're trying to build a business where people are coming to us because of who we are, right? Because they know us, because that's where they spend their money. And so we've got to try to keep direct contact with these 1,000 true fans. And again, that means, as I said, you're going to be really working with your list, your subscriber list, to get to know the people who are going to be willing to go down the funnel and to spend a little more money with you. Yes, you want to continue with low front-end cost products, but what you're trying to do is to get somebody all the way to the end of the funnel so they spend money with you year after year. Right? And when you have those people, again, you're building a base of about $108,000. Now we'll get into what that means for different people. When you have a different kind of customer base, when you have 1,000 true fans and they're basically getting you to about 6 figures, then as opposed to 1 million customers getting you to 6 figures, or even 10,000 customers getting you to 6 figures, what you're going to find is that you have the opportunity to deliver things that are physical in nature, right? You have time to deliver more. You have the opportunity to deliver more. You have resources to deliver more. And again, what this is going to do is going to bind people to you closer, which is really what you want. And you can do the things and that others in your category will not do. Right. And that's what's really going to be important. Let's see. Oh, I see. You can't see my screen, can you? Okay. Sorry about that. I can't see your comments right now. So, okay. Okay, I see your comment now. Thank you, Julie. I see you. All right, great. Okay, now, and we're still in the overview anyway. So now let's dive into the math right now, and really get something that we understand here. Okay, one more concept that Kevin Kelly talks about in this, and I agree with this. I mean, if you really don't want to build a relationship, what you're ultimately going to have to do is to build the kind of creative business where you're going to have somebody manage it. Because again, this is really based on intimacy with your customers. This is not a numbers game. The numbers game is so that you can get down to the 1,000 true fans that are going to sustain you. But if that's not something you're interested in doing, eventually you're going to have somebody to manage your customers, to manage your fans, to manage the experience that they have, because they're spending with you year after year, and you're growing that number organically, means that they're going to have a good experience, and it's going to have to be an experience that other people don't have. So again, if you're thinking that you're not going to be good at that kind of thing, you want to start planning on having somebody to manage this process with them. And that's talking about customer service and social media and all those things, because they're going to be important. I mean, you can do all that with a VA, but you really need somebody who's going to be a little more invested than a VA, right? You need somebody who's going to be invested in the business, and we're talking about a manager. And direct fans are going to be better than getting your money indirect. AdSense is a great way to get paid. I get an AdSense check from Google, but if an advertiser doesn't like me, they're going to see to it that that ad doesn't run on my page. And again, I don't have a relationship with the people who are clicking on my ads. They're clicking on my ads. Google gets paid, and then Google pays me. Yes, the people who come to my blog, I have a relationship with them, but I don't have a direct relationship with the customer. Affiliate income, right? So you're creating products, and your affiliates are bringing you traffic. They're bringing you customers. But even still, you do not have a direct relationship with the customer. You're still not necessarily influencing them to buy. So even though, and again, I've heard this, I mean, affiliate traffic is a great way to get started, but really and truly, you and I have to get to the point where someone's going to buy because of who we are, and they're going to come back to our page because of what we have told them they're going to be able to get. Again, our goal is to work past the affiliate relationship so that we build a relationship with customers. If you have affiliates that are bringing you business, your job is to win those customers over, right? Your job is to find out what it is they want, ask questions, and to continue to give it to them, right? So you make them so that you make them your customer. Now, again, I know that, in internet marketing, people are going to buy from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30 people at any given time, but right, you want to make sure that if they're going to think of somebody, right, first, when they have something they got to do, or they got to go and get something, they're going to come and ask you because you were there, because you're basically the person that they've been looking to. Publisher income, right? We don't have to go into that. And sponsorship income, same thing. Your relationship is indirect, and so it's not as good as having a direct relationship with the people that by selling to them, you have a direct impact in their life, and then they give you money because what you bring. You're trying to find people who want to do business with you, right? And so this matters if you're a creative person. Now, what's important about this is the numbers are going to change depending on what it is you sell and how much it costs. So in other words, you might actually need to have 5,000 true fans based on the cost of what it is you sell, right? If something that you sell really only costs, I don't know, $1 or $2, you're going to have more fans, and you're going to have to build a deeper relationship with them in order to get this model to work. So again, you want to be looking at those numbers. The other thing is that this is really how you get crowdfunding and fan financing these days, right? You build a relationship with customers, and you go to your customers and you tell them, look, I want to build something for you, but it's going to cost me, and I need you to help me to build it ahead of time by paying me. right? That's what crowdfunding is. I mean, forget all of the fancy tricks and consultants. What you have to have first is a relationship with the people. Well, when you have a relationship with customers, the crowdfunding is incidental. Now, I realize that sometimes what happens with crowdfunding is we don't know the people in front, but crowdfunding is building a relationship prior to, and then having people to give us the money ahead of the time, right? So this is how we use crowdfunding to get fan financing. Now, let's go to the first. We're going to go to the first rate. Now, the first thing I want to ask you is, what's your $108,000? So in other words, remember, Kevin Kelly's number is based on one thing. It's based on one person who has customers, who has 1,000 customers who spend $100, right, every calendar year. So that comes out to $108,000. Now, the question about that is that what is that number for you, right? What is your $108,000? What that theory says is that that $108,000 should be good enough for most people, but it might not be for you, right? So what you need to do first, when you determine whether or not you're going to go after 1,000 U fans, is you have to be real about the number that you really do want. The number that's really going to bring you to that level in business that you need to be. Now, listen, I know you want to make $1 million, but this is, we need to come to a real concrete number first, because again, the first level is to determine what the number is to really do business as an internet marketer. What do you need? Is it $108,000? It might be more. You know, what would it take to put you on the fast track? That's what I'm talking about. In other words, if you wanted to quit your job, and I'm not saying that you have to quit your job or you should. I'm saying that how much money would it take on a yearly basis for you to say, you know what, I've got to pay attention now to the internet marketing business. I've got 1,000 true fans. What would that number be? What is that number? You got to determine what that number is, and you got to quantify it, right? What is your $108,000? What would it take for you to be able to pay for and attend every internet marketing conference that you want to go to? This is really an important part of this. The reason I say this is because all of those things are going to be the things that are going to help you to develop. All those are going to be the things that are going to help you to grow once you get to the $100,000 level, past that level. So you've got to factor in there to whatever your number is. If it's going to be more than $108,000, you got to factor in, if you need to go to traffic and conversions, if you need to go to Russell Brunson's thing, you need to go to the Warrior event, you need to go to the JV Zoo event, you need to go to all these things. What's that going to cost? If you have to do that, how does that impact your $108? You got to factor that in, and that has to be a quantifiable number. All this is a finite number in a calculation. This $108,000 is a finite number. So you and I should be able to determine what that number is. And so whatever that number is, in other words, in order for you to do business, right? For you to consider focusing solely on your internet marketing business and not on your job, in order for you to go to all of the stuff that you need to do to develop yourself, right? What is that number? If it's more than $108,000, then put that number down, right? And the reason why you want to come up with this number is because you and I are really going to have a vision beyond the base number and grow, right? So we've got to be able to determine what this number is. And this is also going to be the number, as I said, that we need in order to be free to pursue this business, right? What is that number? What is your $108,000? Again, it might be more, and it's probably not going to be less. So I don't think you ought to do less than that. But okay, so Julie has a question about investors and partners can help too. I'm going to say at this point, Julie, no, right? Because investors and partners are not necessarily your direct relationship with the customer at this point, right? So I would say that in order to come up with $108,000, you got to determine what the number is first, right? So the first thing we got to do is to determine what number do we need in order to again develop, in order to take care of our living, in order to be comfortable, in order to do what it is we have to do to feel good. I mean, if you are talking about stuff like children, pensions, and other stuff. You got to factor that number in, because if you've got a pension and you're paying into it, then you've got to determine that. According to Kevin Kelly, Julius, that is a revenue number. So if you need to bump that number up based on taxes and based on other stuff, then bump it up. Right? That is a revenue number. Great question. Right? So the other thing is, give yourself a little wiggle room in the number. I mean, what are the emergencies that you tend to have to deal with? Again, get real about this base rate. If you're going to go after your 1,000 true fans, because you and I are saying that we're not going to do internet marketing in the normal way. The normal internet marketing way is to get the biggest list as you can and to keep selling stuff, right? Send emails, do social media, and keep selling stuff, which is fantastic. But again, what you're doing is you're saying, I don't have to develop a relationship with the people that are buying from me. And eventually what that means is that my customer, that means then as your customer, I have no loyalty to you, right? If you don't know me by name, right? I've never talked to you, right? I have no loyalty to you. So I would buy the same thing from somebody else. And we see this, right? We see this. And part of the model is, I'm not saying it's a bad model. It's fine. But in some cases, if I'm indifferent to buying something from somebody else, then that means that person has not built a relationship with me, right? There are some people in internet marketing, I buy from the person. And so that's where you and I have to be with our customers. And really, that's why the number 1,000 is quantifiable, because we can count to 1,000, right? If you acquired one customer every single day for the next 3 years, you'd have 1,000 customers, right? So you and I can understand that number. That number is quantifiable. It's not pie in the sky. It's something that we could do, right? So the base rate, got to determine the base rate first, right? And I'm going to talk about the base time right now. So the base time, this is the thing, and I've said this in other webinars, it doesn't get discussed enough in internet marketing. In other words, how much do you want to work in order to get the 108,000? How much do you want to work? How many hours on average do you want to work every day? Now, if you don't have a goal for this, I promise you're going to be working all day and all night. I promise you that. Because if your only goal is the 1,000 true fans and the $108,000, you'll get it, right? You will get it. But the fact of the matter is that you will probably burn out getting it. Okay, so Julius is asking, is this based on recurring revenue or one time? No, Julius, it ought to be recurring. So the idea here is that you have somebody who spends $100 every calendar year. Now, they could spend some in January, some in February, some in March, some in April, some in May. We're going to get to that, but basically, you want to have some recurring sources in there, but you ought to have a relationship with your customers, so that they're going to spend at some point during the year. They're going to spend that allotment with you over the course of the year, right? Okay, you and I need to be clear on our time, right? Because this is going to determine how we're going to attain our fans. It's going to determine how much direct contact we want with them, and it's likely that if we have direct contact with people, nobody else is going to be doing this. Okay, so this is going to be a benefit to you the more direct contact you develop. Again, this is hard work. I'm not saying that this is going to be, this is just going to make it easy. First of all, you're kind of swimming against the current. Second of all, you're trying to build a different kind of income. You're not trying to build an income, and Julius brings a good point. You're trying to build a recurring income based on relationship, based on value you provide, based on people that you know. You've acquired these customers. You understand what it is they're looking for, and you're developing your expertise in order to bring it to them, right? You are at the level. Remember, at this level that we're talking about, you have determined what the number is for you to develop, right? For you to develop and for you to be the person that they're going to need in order for them to continue to pay you that $100 every calendar year. Okay, now, again, now the time number, not an exact calculation, but here's what it does. It's going to set limits on how you behave once you hit the fast track. So in other words, you're going to come to a point where you're going to get that number, and the number is going to cover your daily expenses, but how are you going to behave? That's important. Are you going to work all day and all night? Are you going to neglect your family? Are you going to not be involved in civic and social activities? Are you not going to be involved in church? Are you not going to be involved in other people's life? Are you not going to have friends? Right? Again, I mean, I know, I hear that, I read all the memes on social media. Yeah, sleep is for when you die and all that stuff. Listen, that's not happening. And yes, that's if you want to, that's if you have to, if you got to throw a touchdown, right? If you got to get to the end zone on every play, fine. But we're talking about a sustainable business, that's a sustainable lifestyle too, right? So, so in order to define that, we have to define that at the very beginning. How much do we want to work in order to attain this? What do we want to do in order to get it? Right? So the base time. Let's talk about the base sale. What's the average? So based on what it is you put together, based on what you provide to the market, what's the average price of what you sell? Right? What's the average profit? What is the average of every sale? What's the average value? You need to think about what you're going to be offering. Are you offering Kindle books? Right? So if you're offering Kindle books, right, then we're talking about $3. If you're talking about information products, you're probably talking about 10. So you have to think about what you're going to be offering and how you want to get the fans, right? Now, in this case, I'm going to suggest that at this point, right, don't count your funnel. So I'm talking about the customers that are going to buy from you, right, based on them buying, right, the 1,000 customers that are going to buy the minimum front end, right? So at this point, the funnel, the stuff you have in your funnel, I don't want to talk about that yet. Right. So this, again, the base number, right? Your average sale, when you come up with this number, the average price or the average sale, it's a finite number. Are you selling a Kindle book, a digital product? Are you selling software? Because again, this number will determine what your fan number is going to be. Right. So you and I have to determine what's that average number that we're going to be going after. So you need to do a little research. Right? Do some research. Find out what other products in your market sell for. Right? What's the base number? What can you expect to get with a product like yours? What can you expect in the marketplace to get with a service like yours? Okay? And what do products like yours, once you get good at it, right? Once you get good, once you excel at what you're doing, what do those products cost? What can you expect to be getting? What is the average? That is your base sale number, right? That's the base sale. We got to come up with that number, again, in order for us to calculate our 1,000 true fans. Calculate the number, right? Make sure you calculate what the base sale is. And again, you don't have to spend all day and all night, but you ought to have some idea of what it is you sell. Do you sell information products? Because what we're going to get into after this is we're going to talk about what's in your way to get the money, right? And when we do that, we're then going to be ready to talk about branding. We have to get to these things before we can even talk about branding, because the 1,000 true fans is going to be impacted by determining what these numbers are. Okay, now we got to get the base fan sales number. What is that? Okay, so you already have your base sale number. We just calculated that. We said, what's the average amount of the sale, right? So you should already have the base rate, right? So you should already have the base rate, and you have the base sale number. So now, you will then do this calculation. You're going to take your base rate divided by your base fans, and you're going to get your true fan sales. So are we talking about, is your number 150,000? Is your number 150,000? Okay, based on that sales number of $10, then you've got to figure out what your true fan sales are going to be. This should be a finite number. Okay, so you need to determine what that number is annually. Okay, you should determine what that number is also monthly, weekly, and then daily. Right now, what we need to talk about now is a conversion factor to acquire fans. Okay, so what's it going to cost in dollars in order to get the people? Okay, so what you're going to need to know is you're going to need sales conversion rates for products like yours. And you can get that information inside of JVZoo. You can get that information inside of Warrior Plus. So what can you expect your product to convert at? Right? What do you expect your product to convert at? If you're doing the best you can, and you were to sell by email, if they all came to your page, what is the average conversion rate that you can expect? That is fine. You can find out that information. If you're going to sell software, right, in social media, what can you expect your page to convert at? If you're doing, if you're doing a great job, do your research on JVZoo, Warrior Plus, ClickBank, and even talking to people, right? What can you expect on average for a well-written page to convert visitors with a base product like yours? And then what we're going to do is come to a converted fan sales number. So you're going to know your base conversion factor. Now you're going to have to back into how many sales you are going to need to get to your number, right? So now this is important because we know now what our number needs to be. We know what our conversion rate's probably going to be. Now what we need to do is we need to back into how many sales we're going to need. So in other words, let's say that products like yours converted about 8%. How many visitors are you going to need in order to make enough sales to get to your number? Right? That's what all this is for. Right? That's really what that's what really the whole night is for. If you know what that conversion rate should be, if you're doing a great job, how many people, how many visitors, how many customers are you going to need in order to make enough sales to make your number? Right? Because again, we're going to have to turn these people into fans, but we have to know in the first place how we're going to get to that number. How many people are you going to have to bring to a page like yours on an annual basis to get to your annual number? How many people are you going to have to bring on a monthly basis to get to your monthly number? So if you broke it down to monthly, how many people are you going to have to get to on a monthly basis? On a weekly basis, you should have a weekly number, and even I think you probably want to even have a daily number too. Right now, what we're going to do tomorrow is pick up our discussion here. I don't want to give you too many numbers here. And what we're going to do is kind of pick it up from here because we've got another part to this. But here's where you have to kind of leave it. Right? You and I have to figure out on an annual basis, a monthly basis, a weekly basis, and daily basis, how many people are we going to need to bring if our product is converting at 8%? How many people are we going to have to get to a sales page? Right? Because again, now we're not even talking about converting these people to a fans. I'm talking about how many people do we need to buy? How many people do we need to make for me to make purchases on an annual basis, on a monthly basis, on a weekly basis, on a daily basis? Because we got to track these numbers, right? We have to track these numbers. And we start talking about conversion rates. These are the numbers you're going to track, right? Because we're not doing things just based on the standard way to do internet marketing. The reason we're doing this is because we want to build something better than a buyer's list. We want to build a fan list, and we want to have an intimate knowledge of what these people want and need. Now, I would like for you tonight to read article number 2 on, and I'll put the link up on the PLR show. Right, I'll put the article link up, article 2, and I'll put article 3. I really do want you to read those articles by Kevin Kelly. They are very important to understanding this whole concept. And then, and this is where I want to kind of get into funnels. Now, one of the things you're going to notice from those articles is that Kevin Kelly is talking to musicians and creative people and artists. And he sort of understands funnels, but he's not explaining it to them, probably because he knows that's going to be over their head, right? So what you have to do is, this is where your funnels come in. How are we going to get to the annual number, the monthly number, the weekly number, the daily number? We're going to be leveraging funnels. Now, this is a very important thing to say. We want to leverage point of sale funnels. That's the kind of funnels you and I see every day. Now, I'm going to explain this in detail, right? In the Strategic Marketing Playbook, PLR. I'm going to explain this in detail. So in other words, the point of sale funnels, that's the funnels you see when you buy an information product. You get to the OTO1, you get to see the second upsell, you see the third upsell. That's what that funnel is, right? That's what I call those point of sale funnels, because they all happen at the point of sale at which your buyer is taking care of this. Now, here's what I want to talk to you about. Probably later on in the challenge, but I want to introduce this to you, and I'm also going to be talking about this in Strategic Marketing Playbook. You and I also have to leverage lifetime value funnels. What does that mean? Right? What does that mean? And I talked about that. I think that was on night 2 on the warm-up call. And this is where if you understand the whole fan aspect, and you're not just trying to chase the dollar. Listen, I'm not saying that money is a bad thing. I'm saying you got to be careful about how you chase it, because if you structure this right, you're going to have more money from fewer people and you're going to work less, and it's going to be a lot more enjoyable, right? Because if you think you want 1 million customers paying you between $10 and $17, I'm just gonna wait for you underneath a bridge, right? Because you're going to be jumping, right? That's not what you want. You think you might want that, but that's not what you want. What you want is 1,000 people, right? If you can get up to that number with 1,000 people or 2,000 people, right? How do you do that? Well, you leverage not only point of sale funnels, but you also leverage what I call lifetime value funnels. You should be developing a product line where as I develop a relationship with you, I have to get your next thing. I've got to get your next step. And so part of your psychology should be not just, well, what haven't I covered? I'm going to give that to them in another product. It should also be, what's the next logical step up? And even if I'm asking for more money, right? When I ask for more money and I actually put an offer out there, if you ask me for more money, here's what you should be doing. You should be calling me out. Right? You call me out of those people that are buying from you at the low dollar amount, right? With a lifetime value funnel. You're calling me out because if I'm willing to spend more and get more value, here's what I'm doing. I'm raising my hand and I'm identifying myself as a true fan. And then once you've called me out once, you call me out again with something at an even higher level. And I'm not just saying that it always have to be a higher dollar amount. I'm saying something that'll develop me more that you give me, right? Something that makes my life better from your niche. And if you're developing that LTV funnel, right, I'm going to have to spend more money with you if I've got it, right? I'm going to have to spend that more money with you. Number one, you built a relationship, which you're going to talk about, but you have built a funnel that not only takes advantage of me at the point of sale, like the JVZoo funnel, but you're also building a funnel where you're forcing me to decide whether or not I'm going to identify myself as a true fan by taking that next level up in your product line, right? And so your product line should not only go horizontally or vertically, right? So in other words, the vertical product line is the point of sale funnel. Front end, upsell 1 goes on top of there, upsell 2 goes on top of there, upsell 3, upsell whatever, right? They're stacked, they're vertical. Does everybody get that? So now, but I'm talking about developing a horizontal funnel, right? Horizontal. What do I have to get? So I bought your low level in 2016. But what do I need? What am I going to need later on in 2016 if I'm going to develop more? What am I going to need in 2017? What am I going to need in 2018? And when you and I start to do that, do you understand what's happening here? That means then that you are generating an income and you're not launching products in order to do it. I am your customer, right? I am your client. I am the person who buys from you because I just love the way you do stuff. And so what we're talking about here is, again, we have to understand these numbers, because these are the numbers that are going to tell us how to build a funnel, not just vertically, upsell 1, upsell 2, upsell 3, but horizontally, right? 2016, 2017, 2018. Does everybody get that? Right? So this is really why I really want to stop here in terms of the numbers, right? Because there's some other numbers we need to determine and calculate. But once we get this number, right, we understand our base conversion rate, how many visitors it's going to take to get to a page in order to make the sales to get to our number. And then how can we then leverage funnels to call out our true fans? Right now, one more thing I'm going to be covering, I'm going to cover part of this in this series. I'm going to be talking about marketing automation. I'm also going to be talking about automation in the strategic marketing playbook, because marketing automation is part of how you're going to do this, right? It's part of how you're going to do this. And again, I'm not even talking about outsourcing so much as I'm talking about automation, right? You can have an outsourced operation, but yet you can still not have things automated and still not make a lot of money, right? So the beauty in automation is that it really does leverage you if you outsource, if you don't outsource. Once you learn how to put things in place for automation. And what automation does is it means then that you are automatically going to show your customer how they can move through your funnel. Most people create automation. I'm going to leave it here. And this is where we're going to leave it for tonight. How many of you all know, and the answer I know is yes. So I realize you already know this, but do you all understand that the marketing funnel that you go through when you buy an information product is automated? Of course, right? Because as soon as you pass through, you buy the first product, right? Well, yeah, I'm not necessarily talking about emails so much as this, Julie. Emails, yes. But what we also have to do is we have to automate the LTV funnel, right? So it's yes, it's automating emails. Yes, it's automating that they're going to see products, but we are talking about automating, right, the LTV funnel, so that I know that when you become a customer, you are eventually going to see an offer to call you out, right? So that is the purpose. When you put together a recurring income product, what you were doing is you were calling out people who like the way you do stuff. Doesn't have to be everybody. You don't even want everybody, right? You don't want everybody involved in your stuff. What you want are people who you really like working with, because this is really going to determine and help you to have the energy to put together the level of quality that you and I need to put together. Oh my goodness, we're at 42 minutes. That is not where I want to be. So again, I'm really, really sorry for keeping you that long. Tonight, I want to make sure those of you who are getting the survey software, tonight's the last night. So I think they're going up on the price tonight. So you want to go ahead and get it. It's at superfastactionbonus.com/new resale software. And I'm going to give you a copy of Monetization Revolution. That's the only way you can get it. Right. So I never did release the course. So you'll get access. I'll give you access to that course. One of us, we will then direct you to the members area. If you are new to me, you're not getting notifications, you're watching this, whether it's by archive, please go over to the plrshow.com, put in your name and email address, and then you will be getting notifications not only for the 30-day challenge, but then one newsletter every day. Right. And if you want to see any of my previous training, you can do that at youtube.com/gain mindshare. And lastly, I would be remiss if I didn't tell you, if you really want to know how to leverage PLR, we have put together the PLR playbook. We covered everything when it comes to PLR. So want to know how to use it, all that stuff that's on your hard drive, head over to the plrplaybook.com and then also lastly, I'm going to say this, for those of you who need it, right? I meet on Thursday nights with one group, and this group is a group that I just basically get them up to the launch. They get they get at least one product every month. This month, I think they're probably going to get 2 or 3. But basically, what happens is not only do they get the products, but on a weekly basis, I sit down with these folks, and what we do is we move them toward their launch, right? And in some cases, you're going to see some launches to come from me, and it's going to be from them actually, right? So again, this is what if you're ready to do this part of it, right? You're ready to take that step. Go over to gainmindshare.com/coaching. And yes, it is a monthly basis, but we do meet once a week. It is fantastic. Okay, so with that, since I did keep you a little long, any questions? Any questions? Right? Any questions? Okay, well, everybody, we're going to pick it up from this point tomorrow evening, and we're going to talk a little more about the math. So I know I have to plow through this. This is important, but we will be finished with the math tomorrow. Okay, so with that, thank you very much, everybody. Have a great night and a pleasant tomorrow. Take care.